Dear students, welcome to virtual classroom of Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai. I am Sri Kumar. The class is for 9th standard students. Subject is mathematics. Let me begin the class.
Dear students, the topic is ratio and proportion, which is not a new topic but very familiar to you. Especially the concept of ratio is learned already. But a little more information about the concept of ratio and proportion is given in this chapter. We know that whenever we hear the term ratio, two numbers comes in our mind. Always ratio is expressed in two numbers. This chapter will be making you understand more about ratio, of course. Then there will be properties of ratios, operation on equal ratios, theorem of equal ratios, continued proportion, and K method. Some aspects are quite new for you. Here is a simple situation to make you understand the concept of ratio and proportion. The rava laddu prepared by Vimal are tasty, for which she takes 1 bowl of ghee, 3 bowls of rava and 2 bowls of sugar. It's a very simple thing. If you think about applying our known concept of ratio here, if you take any two of these, for example, the ratio of ghee and rava in her preparation, we will write it is 1:3. That means 1 bowl of ghee and 3 bowls of rava. If it is ratio of rava and sugar, then what we will write? We will write it as 3:2. Correct? This is known to you, and we can represent it as 3/2 also, 1/3 also. Because ratio is showing the relationship between two data. And we also know that if you multiply 3 with a number, same with the denominator, we will get 6/4 and having equal value. This also you have studied in your lower class. But if a question comes, what is the ratio between 3 numbers? When the ratio between 3 numbers we have to express, we call it as proportion. तभी हमारा term change हो गया. What we will say, what is the proportion of ghee, rava and sugar in the preparation of rava laddu? तो वो proportion क्या है? 1:3:2. और समझना क्या है, अगर घी एंड रवा है आप 1:3 बोलेंगे, अगर रवा विथ शुगर है आप 3:2 बोलेंगे, और ये 3 कॉमन है. That's why you could write it. Sometimes there can be 4 data, 4 values which we have to show proportionate. A data which contain more than 3 different sources. Suppose that if it is given, the data is given as if between 4 different categories, and we get the ratio, we will write it as 2m, this is the ratio, final ratio, 3m plus 7m plus 4m. We understand there is a constant, m is multiplying all this. This because there is a proportional relationship. And if it is equal to 16m by total, and if the total is 48 or something, we will say that m is equal to 48/16, which is equal to 3. We can substitute here and write 6, 9, 21 and 3 4s are 12. This way the relationship between the real numbers, really actually what it is, a quantity. So we get such situation where there are more than 3 are related in a particular fashion. We 2:3:7:4. Then we write 2m is 2 plus, this will be the possible multiplication and the relationship. So what I was trying to make you understand is, whenever we say ratio, it is 2. Whenever we say proportion, we have more than 2 items to compare with, and we call it as proportion. Proportion is a term which is very commonly used for situation like, suppose that if you are thinking about a fertilizer bag, ये सिटी वाले को उतना फेमिलियर नहीं रहेगा, बट गांव के बच्चों को मालूम है. फर्टिलाइजर बैग में लिखा होगा NPK, नाइट्रोजन, फॉस्फोरस, पोटासियम कंपोनेंट इन दैट, और उसके ऊपर लिखा होगा 18:10. दिस इज द प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ नाइट्रोजन, फॉस्फोरस, very second one, and potassium. Suppose the farmer has bought 20 kilogram. How much each of these would be there? This is the proportion. In the whole 18 parties nitrogen, 18 parties phosphorus, 10 parties. In whole, if you are taking one whole is nothing but 100. That means we can express it in 18 upon 100. If it is the whole is 100 here, then x out of 20. How much out of 20? We have to calculate it. We know that we can simply calculate x is equal to 18 into 20 upon 100, and which is equal to 3.6. That means nitrogen will be 3.6 if it is in kilogram. Phosphorus 18 दिया है, so phosphorus also will be, it is 18:10. Am I right? Okay. So this also will be 3.6, and here 10 upon 100 is equal to x upon 20, where will be x is equal to 2. So your potassium will be 2 part or 2 kilogram. That means by adding these plus all this plus, we will get 3.6 plus 7.2, 9.2 kilogram will be pure fertilizer, will be containing nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Remaining will be the media used for making and the fertilizer. Understood? So this is one concept where we can use compare more than 2 data, and we call it as proportion, and we have the same technique for this also, for in the case of proportion also. Further, we have to understand about a concept of direct proportion and inverse proportion. Direct variation and inverse variation आप पढ़ा है. एक डाटा बढ़ते हैं, दूसरा भी बढ़ रहा है. That is direct. If एक बढ़ रहा है, दूसरा कम हो रहा है. Understood? जैसे कि जितने स्टूडेंट्स हैं उतने फुटवेयर्स क्लासरूम के बाहर रहेंगे. बाहर अगर फुटवेयर छोड़ के आने का इंस्ट्रक्शन है, सो when the number of students increase, number of footwears, चप्पल्स बढ़ते जाएंगे. Understood? For example, if 1 liter of petrol can travel, a car can go up to 10 kilometer, then 2 liter petrol will help to go 20 kilometer. 20 liter of petrol will help us to go 200 kilometer. 40 liter will help us to go 400 kilometer. And here, if you take this x and y, or anything you can take, if you compare the distance traveled with the number, the liter of this one, understood, you will be getting 10. 400 upon 40. If you divide 20 upon 2, that also 10. Here in the case of direct proportion, one data upon other data will be a constant. Inverse variation is having difference. Suppose the speed of your car is 50 km per hour. To travel a distance of 100 km, the car will take 2 hours. If it is a bullock cart means बैलगाड़ी, per hour, its speed is 5 kilometer per hour, it will take 20 hours to complete. It took 2 घंटे में पहुंचे 20 hours. But here you can see if you multiply this data with this, that is 50 into 2 is equal to 100, 5 into 20 is also equal to 100. Here the product is constant. X into Y is constant in this case. This is inverse example for inverse proportion, inverse variation. This is example for direct proportion. Understood? Pause the video here, spend time, have a glass of water, then continue with the rest of the video. You have the freedom to watch the video again and again, pause the video and see later. ये सब आपके ऑप्शन में है अभी, पहले के जैसा नहीं. एक ही बार टीचर बोलेगा और क्या करूं, वो सिचुएशन नहीं है अभी. Okay, I am going ahead because you learned about direct proportion and inverse proportion now. Then what more is there to make you understand? You have to understand the properties of ratio. That is the second topic. What is ratio is done? Properties of ratio tells that the ratio between two data is represented like this. If you multiply one data with k and multiply the denominator with k, then there is no change in the value. Okay? That is because of that reason ratio is something interesting. That means we know that multiplying the numerator and denominator doesn't make any change in that. Third thing, that whenever we express ratio in always and always in same unit. यूनिट बहुत ज़रूरी है. कंपैरिजन किसका कर रहे हो ये लिखना है ऐसे. Rule and in the case of ratio and proportion, so we are having that. And second part here I wrote express the ratio in same unit. If there is 2 kilometer, 500 meter, then the other one is 750 meter, you will convert the whole into meter, that is 2500 meter, here it is 750 meter. So you should have the same unit while dealing with the ratio. Understood? Sometimes the ratio will grow further. Will be asked you to compare 3 data. For example, Seema's age, Rajeshri's age and Atul's age का comparison है आपका टेक्स्ट बुक में. ठीक है, वो सिर्फ लिखा है, मैं explain कर रहा हूँ. If the ratio between the age of Seema and Rajeshri is 3:1, this is the ratio of their ages. Then Rajeshri with Atul, the ratio is 2:3. Now can we write the ratio or the proportion of age of Seema, Rajeshri and Atul? ऐसा लिख सकते 3:1:2:3? ये गलत जाएगा क्योंकि 3 का रेशियो चाहिए. For that this should be made common 1 and 2. There should be a common number. So we know that 3/1 can be written, 3:1 can be written like this, 2/3 can be written like this. Now the issue is 1 and 2 to be managed. 2/3, 3/1. Okay. This way we have got the ratio, so we will try to make this this one matching with this 3:1. For that we have to multiply. 3:1 है, तो हम क्या करेंगे? We will change that 1 into 2. 3:1 multiplied by 2/2. You will be getting up answer 6/2 and so you could make it, so now the ratio can be written as 6:2:3. That means 6:2:3 is the ratio between these. three people. So now the question is, if what is the ratio between Seema and Rajeshri? You will write 6:2, 6 upon 2, which is equal to 3 upon 1. That is what is given. What is the ratio of the age between Rajeshri and Atul? 2:3. What is the proportion of the age of Seema, Rajeshri and Atul? You will write this as answer. That is the learning. Now, another aspect. If it is given that 3 upon 5, if we have to convert into how much out of 100? So we need denominator 100. So 3 upon 5 will be multiplied by 20, both numerator, and we'll write 60 upon 100. Naturally that will be turned into 60%. Okay, this way we can convert ratio into percentage, and it happens, and then the requirement comes every now and then. Now, something little more complicated. Ratio of mango plant, a mango tree, and chiku tree is given. What is the ratio given? The ratio is given as 2:3. फिर बोलता है, if you add how much? 5 more trees to each. 2:3 का मतलब it will be a multiple of 2k:3k. हमको नहीं मालूम कितना 2000 है क्या 3000. But if you add 5 more trees to each, then the ratio becomes 5:7. Ratio बदल जाएगा. So how to solve this kind of? The question would be, find the number of mangoes and chiku in the orchard. So what we have to do is, the ratio of the trees are 2:3 now. This is the ratio of the trees, mango and chiku. Now, it will be a multiple of 2 into x and 3 into x. Right? Yes, symbol में से हमको ऊपर जाना है. And to that 2x, 5 is added, and to that 3x also 5 is added, and new ratio हमने लिए तो ये 5/7 हो गया. So now we can rearrange it and get the answer. Cross multiply. 7 into 2x plus 5 is equal to 5 into 3x plus 5. 14x plus 5 is equal to 15x plus 5 into 5, 25. Right? We added 5 trees and we got the answer. Here we are supposed to write, here it is 5 5s are 25, and here it is 35, 7 into 5. Sorry, I forgot. Now we got 14x plus 35 is equal to 15x plus 25, where we can calculate x, which is equal to 10 in this case. Now, that means if the ratio is 2:3, it will be 20:30. Because x is 10. This way we can solve the problem. Very important. And this kind of questions will help us to solve big queries in our day-to-day life also. So my dear students, ratio and proportion is a very important chapter. Why? Because when you grow further and trying to get a job in government, you should write a competitive exam, which we call as UPSC exam, MPSC exam, and you are also having many other exams for staff selection. At that time, There will be questions where we will be applying the common sense of ratio and proportion in order to get the answer. Questions will be easy to be solved in 30 seconds, just like in scholarship exam. But if you are an expert, then only you can complete the question paper. For that, you should be very clear about the concept of ratio and proportion. Almost same. In proportion, we are having more members or more data in that. That's only difference. So, my dear student, as I always said, just by seeing what I am doing on the screen or just by watching the video, you will not be able to answer the question answers. Exercise is given to check that whether you have understood. You can watch the video, see that examples in the textbook, directly take the exercise. आपको आता है क्या चेक नहीं आता है वीडियो वापस देखो टेक्स्ट बुक वापस रीड एक्सरसाइज शुड बी डन योरसेल्फ विदाउट एनी हेल्प मुझे मान में नेट से आंसर मिलेगा गाइड से आंसर मिलेगा बट you should solve the exercise yourself, you will become strong. Okay, thank you.